I first met AZ when I was around 18. He walked into my father's office for management with Black Sabbath, and in that moment I caught a glimpse of the world I would one day inhabit. A world of music, chaos, and ambition that both thrilled and intimidated me. That first encounter planted seeds I wouldn't fully understand for years, and as life unfolded, it became clear that some paths are paved with both brilliance and heartbreak. It's extraordinary how a woman who once ruled stages, television screens, and the whirlwind of rock and roll could, decades later, face challenges that tested her in ways fame and power never could. Sharon Osbourne's story is not just about surviving adversity. It is about love, scars, resilience, and the courage to keep moving forward, even when life seems determined to break you. Childhood in the House of Arden. Sharon Rachel. Arden was born in 1952 in London, and from the very beginning her world was far from gentle. Her father, Don Arden, was one of the most formidable figures in the music business, a man whose presence commanded fear and respect in equal measure. To his enemies he could be ruthless, to his artists a kingmaker, to his family a storm that left its own marks. Hugs were rare in the Arden household, and silence often spoke louder than affection. Doors slammed late into the night, heated arguments echoed through the halls, and contracts were signed amidst the tension of unrelenting power dynamics. While other children drifted into sleep with a sense of safety, Sharon lay awake, listening to footsteps on cold floors, and learning early that love, if it existed, was conditional. The rules were strict and merciless. Compliance was valued above comfort, strength above vulnerability. A childhood scarred by loss. The first major tragedy of Sharon's life came when she was only 6 years old. Her mother died in a car accident. Overnight, the one source of comfort she had ever known was gone, leaving her to navigate a house filled with echoes of absence. The grief she experienced went far beyond sadness. It was a foundational wound, teaching her that love could be fragile and fleeting. Even surrounded by wealth, influence, and connections that most could only dream of, Sharon found no replacement for the emotional nourishment that a child needs. Safety, kindness, and a sense of belonging were absent from her early life, and she carried that void into her teenage years. While other girls discovered friendship, first loves, and music for joy, Sharon was learning the harsh rules of survival in a world that demanded toughness above all else. Lessons in power and resilience. By the 1960s, Sharon had already developed an understanding of power that most adults never acquire. She watched her father maneuver through deals, wield fear as a tool, and maintain dominance over both artists and employees. She learned early that talent alone was not enough to succeed. One had to be unyielding, resilient, and capable of standing tall when others faltered. Conflicts with her father were frequent and intense, each disagreement a test of her will and patience. Don Arden demanded loyalty, obedience, and strength, while Sharon's own growing independence and curiosity often clashed with his expectations. Though the fights were loud and the aftermath sometimes stretched for days, they taught Sharon crucial lessons about strategy, endurance, and self-reliance. She realized that fame and success were never handed freely. They came at a price, often requiring the surrender of personal comfort and safety. Growing into adulthood. By the time Sharon reached adulthood, she was far from naive. She carried with her the knowledge of how business and power truly worked, and the scars she bore were not a sign of weakness but proof of survival. She understood that love, trust, and comfort were fragile and needed to be guarded carefully. Her early exposure to high-stakes environments had honed her instincts, sharpened her judgment, and prepared her for the challenges that lay ahead. Yet, even with her formidable skills, she would soon face choices that would test not just her intellect, but her heart. The bold choice: love over legacy. In the late 1970s, Sharon, at 27, stood at a crossroads. She had been raised under the watchful eye of a father who taught her the intricacies of power, influence, and survival, and she had every opportunity to take over his empire. But fate intervened in the form of John Michael Osbourne, known to the world as AZ, the legendary voice of Black Sabbath. By the time Sharon met him, AZ had been through years of chaos, battles with addiction, and public criticism that left him physically weakened and personally wounded. To the industry, he was a liability, a figure whose best days seemed behind him. But Sharon saw beyond the trembling hands and public persona. She saw a man whose spirit still held greatness, and she chose to love him not as a project, not as a challenge, but as a partner in every sense: exile and sacrifice. Choosing AZ was a declaration of independence, a choice that defied the expectations of her father and risked the life of comfort she'd been groomed to inherit. She stepped into exile, giving love precedence over legacy, safety, and wealth. The years that followed were not easy. Financial stability quickly dissipated, and she navigated the turbulence of AZ's ongoing struggles while defending their future against skepticism and criticism. Sharon became nurse, strategist, and guardian, managing crises from overdoses to contractual battles, all while maintaining the semblance of normalcy in public. When she married AZ in 1982, it was not a fairy tale union. It was a partnership forged in resilience, forged in the willingness to face life's storms together, rebuilding a legend. Through the 1980s and 1990s, Sharon worked tirelessly to resurrect AZ's career. Albums like Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman were more than musical milestones. They were victories born from relentless effort, strategic insight, and unwavering support. Sharon managed their business affairs, navigated the music industry's harsh realities, and ensured that AZ could rise again while protecting their family. In 1990, the creation of Ozfest became a landmark achievement, providing a stage for new talent while re-establishing AZ as a defining figure in heavy metal. Behind the scenes, however, these successes came with hidden costs: sleepless nights, personal sacrifices, and the emotional labor of maintaining a family under immense pressure. The public and private divide. In 2002, the Osbournes opened their lives to television cameras, transforming private chaos into entertainment. What viewers saw as comedy, the sharp wit, the family antics, and the irreverent humor, masked a reality far more complex. The cameras captured moments that were raw, real, and sometimes painful, blurring the line between performance and private life. Sharon later reflected that while the show gave them a platform, it also took away quiet evenings and personal privacy, leaving her to navigate heartbreak and challenge in full view of the world. Battles with illness. Sharon's resilience was tested further in 2002 when she was diagnosed with colon cancer. At a time when her family's public profile was at its peak, she faced private battles that were invisible to her audience. Chemotherapy sapped her strength, stole her hair, and challenged her resolve, but her commitment to her family kept her going. Even at her weakest, she remained present, ensuring her children felt supported and that AZ had a partner in care and love. Her approach to illness demonstrated her remarkable fortitude and the depth of her maternal and spousal devotion. Crisis within the family. The challenges did not end with illness. In December 2003, Ozzy suffered a near-fatal ATV accident, leaving him hospitalized with broken bones and dependent on medical support. At the same time, their children faced their own struggles with addiction, requiring Sharon to balance her recovery with advocacy, guidance, and protection for her family. Nights blurred into early mornings, and the public often only saw snippets of a life that was a continuous negotiation between survival and support. Sharon's days were filled with hospital visits, strategizing contracts, and managing crises that would have overwhelmed anyone less resilient. Reinvention and public life. Despite these personal storms, Sharon continued to forge a professional path that solidified her as a television icon. From serving as a judge on The X Factor and America's Got Talent to becoming a sought-after figure in talk shows, she demonstrated intelligence, humor, and authenticity that resonated worldwide. Her honesty and fairness, tempered by her experiences with betrayal, addiction, and illness, allowed her to connect deeply with audiences. Sharon's presence on television became a testament to her enduring strength, as she translated the lessons of her turbulent life into wisdom that others could admire and learn from. The cruel lessons of fame. Fame, however, is double-edged. Even a woman of Sharon's strength can face backlash, criticism, and the harsh judgment of the public. In 2021, a public dispute escalated through social media, exposing Sharon to scrutiny and censure. Overnight, the woman who had faced sickness, addiction, and family crises became vulnerable to the court of public opinion. These experiences underscored a truth Sharon had known since childhood, that the world can be unforgiving, and that resilience must extend not only to physical and emotional challenges, but to the scrutiny and judgment of others. Personal health decisions. Sharon continued to demonstrate courage and foresight in matters of personal health. In 2012, aware of her family's medical history and determined to protect her children, she chose a preventive double mastectomy. The procedure and recovery were difficult, leaving both physical and emotional scars, but Sharon embraced them openly, showing that vulnerability can coexist with strength. Her transparency offered a powerful example to women everywhere, transforming personal challenge into a source of inspiration. Betrayal and reconstruction. Even in marriage, Sharon faced challenges that tested the limits of forgiveness and resilience. In 2016, a betrayal threatened the foundation of her relationship with Ozzy. While the pain was profound, Sharon approached the situation with pragmatism and compassion, understanding that rebuilding trust requires patience, courage, and the willingness to confront difficult truths. The process was neither simple nor quick, but it demonstrated her commitment to preserving what she valued most, even in the face of heartbreak. The final years and Ozzy's decline. As time passed, age and illness gradually eroded Ozzy's health. A fall at home set off a cascade of medical interventions, rods and screws, that attempted to stabilize the body that had once ruled arenas. Sharon's role evolved yet again, from wife and manager to nurse, guardian, and steadfast witness, as the man she loved confronted his mortality. Through every surgery, every struggle, and every painful moment, Sharon remained a source of strength, embodying the loyalty and courage that had defined her life, a legacy of love and strength. Ozzy's final performance in July 2025 was both a triumph and a farewell. Sharon orchestrated every detail, ensuring the experience was meaningful, safe, and memorable. As he sang, broken yet burning with passion, Sharon whispered encouragement from the wings, witnessing the culmination of decades of effort, sacrifice, and love. When his final moments came on July 22nd, 2025, Sharon sat beside him, offering comfort and a quiet acknowledgement of a life lived fully, fiercely, and together. The loss was profound, the grief intense. Yet even in sorrow, Sharon's presence reflected unwavering strength and enduring love. Reflections on a life of triumph and tribulation. Sharon Osbourne's journey spans decades of triumph, challenge, and reinvention. From a childhood marked by loss and hardship to a life lived in the public eye, she has demonstrated an extraordinary capacity for resilience, loyalty, and courage. She faced illness, addiction, betrayal, and heartbreak, yet she consistently chose to act with love, integrity, and determination. Her story is a testament to the human spirit, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, it is possible to endure, to protect, and to build a legacy that inspires others. Lessons for generations. Through her life, Sharon has shown that strength is not the absence of struggle, but the ability to confront it with grace and resilience. Her openness about her challenges, from illness to family crises, has offered hope and guidance to countless people who face their own battles. Sharon's story is one of unwavering commitment to love, family, and personal integrity, illustrating that true success is measured not just by public acclaim, but by the quiet victories achieved in the private moments of courage, sacrifice, and devotion. A lasting influence. Sharon Osbourne remains a symbol of perseverance, love, and authenticity. Her legacy encompasses not only her contributions to music and television, but also her example of navigating life's most difficult challenges with determination and compassion. She teaches that the scars we carry are not marks of failure, but emblems of endurance and strength, and that love, whether for family, a partner, or oneself, can guide us through even the darkest moments. Sharon's journey reminds us that while life may demand much, it is through our choices, courage, and devotion that we define our true legacy.